All right, Maura, it says we're on live, so I'm just going to wait a few minutes for people to start hopping on. And just to let you know, Maura, we are live not only on Facebook, but also on YouTube. And people on YouTube as well have been loving the stories. It really speaks to them.
Okay.
And that many people will listen to the recording afterwards. So I know that you can't see the little counter, but we already have 3 people, 4 people coming on. And so while people are kind of catching up with us, um, we've been talking about in these bonus teaching days about intuition and dominant style. So Maura Nelson is who I am inviting on. But Maura, what would you say your intuitive style is?
My intuitive style definitely is hearing. I'm
Oh, so
audio,
clairaudience. Okay.
clairaudient, and knowing. Those are my two.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
not a feeler, and I'm not a not clairvoyant. Where I
You
don't
don't
see.
see. Yeah.
Mm-mm. I
Yeah.
can, when we do the guided meditations, I can visualize, in my own
Yeah.
mind, but I don't see and I don't feel. Which,
Okay.
if I could just say, that has over the years caused me a lot of doubt, because I'm like, oh, well, they can see it, they can feel it in their body, and I can't. So it caused a lot of doubt. It was a big kind of learning curve for me to come around to, like, oh, I have my own style.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that's really what, I emphasize a lot. What is your style? What is your style? Cultivate your style. That's how you as an intuitive is supposed to express in the world.
mhm.
You didn't come to express hearing or I'm laughing because my dog wanted in the room and now my dog wants out. So I'm just going to wait to see if my dog settles. So, Maura, uh, where do you live?
I live in Minneapolis,
Okay.
and yeah, and I'm married to my husband Bill, who is also retired. He retired a couple years ago, and we have one stepson who's 35,
Mm,
and um, I retired from being a teacher,
mhm, mhm.
uh, public high school teacher for 30 years, and boy, that was a calling for me, a passion, for education. Loved, loved, loved it. And
Love,
my
love, love. Yeah.
last few years was in an alternative school.
Okay. How long have you been in the Psychic Mastery program?
Okay, this is where I'm more of a slow cooker rather than an Instapot. I'm just going to say that because I have been in psychic mastery since 2014, Nancy. That's when I joined. It was after I have a college friend, Shani, and we came to Tacoma, and you did a group reading for our college, for our college group in
Oh, that's right.
2014. And then I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So then I joined in 2014. And but I live in my head a lot, and I'm just like, oh, this is interesting. I kept learning about it and doing the meditations, but I never sort of embodied them
Yeah.
um, until, really literally until about 4 years ago is when, and it was a classroom situation that, like, okay, I need to start doing this rather than just thinking about it, reading about it, learning about it. I need to start actually doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I love that point because what a lot of people who are listening in today and are listening to the recorded contemplating joining Psychic Mastery One, that it is a 12-month program. However, uh, you can repeat the whole year again. And so right now we have about 70 to 80 students that are already in the Psychic Mastery program, and many of them, just keep coming back and being a part of it and letting that kind of layering of learning happen. And I love it that you said, you're kind of a slow cooker rather than an Instapot. You come up with the greatest words. You can tell you're a teacher because you're used to just giving those live examples to help you learn. So tell me a little bit about what that journey was for you around 2014 when I did that group reading for your group. What's that journey been like for you?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I've always been a seeker, and just knew that there was something else out there. And I was raised in the Catholic faith, and kind of was all in on that. Only not the restrictive rules part of the Catholic Church, but the ritual and the mysticism
Mm.
really called to me. I mean, I was like, oh, wow, because I could go into that. I could just go into that space and hang out there, and it was beautiful. But what happened is it didn't affect my daily life in any positive or specific way. So I would kind of go into that space and then I'd come back to life, and it was like two separate worlds for me. And so learning about these techniques, I'm like, oh, wow, maybe this is the thing, where I can bring that sort of calm, beautiful, blissful state down into my world,
Mhm.
you know? But again, like I said, I'm a slow learner. I'm deep but slow. So it just didn't ever click with me, And so I started looking for, you just start looking for things. And I started looking for a lot of things, but I realized that they were all things that are outside of me rather than inside of me.
Mm.
For, oh, maybe I'll try this, maybe I'll try yoga. I did yoga. I did, meditation. I can't even remember all the things that you search for. And, but it always kind of came back to that. I didn't feel, I always felt like helping other people with teaching and how can I describe this? It helped to fill myself. Doing things for other people helped
Mhm.
before I fill myself. What I didn't realize that I didn't really know myself. I didn't fill myself with all of that. That's what these tools helped me to do. From the
Mm.
grounding and the connecting, all of them, I started to learn like, oh, I could fill up myself. So that's kind of what helped me the most.
Mhm.
Then
Yeah, and then go ahead. Didn't
I
mean to
was
jump.
just going to say the way that it connected to the classroom for me and in my life. So, as a teacher, we have, you're in the classroom, there's all these expectations from parents, from the district, from the society, and you embody all of that. And then you sort of exude all that to the kids, your expectations, your judgment, your all of this. And I realized that I was sort of oozing that out to my students. And then the last 4 years of my career, I moved to an alternative school, kids who were from ages 16 to 20 who had not been successful in the traditional public school system for various reasons. And so they came into my classroom, and all of a sudden, because I'd started doing some of these tools, I started to absorb their trauma, absorb their, just their hardship of life. And I literally came home. Here I am. How old would I have been? 58 years old, 57, 58. I started coming home sobbing every single day. And my husband is like, whoa, you can do this. You can do this. You wanted this. And so that's when I started for real going in. He's like, go to your room and clear your energy. He would say. So I would go in here and I would just like open the valve, bring up the energy, bring down the energy, open the valve and just release, because the tears were not mine. The sadness was not mine. The fear wasn't mine. So I just started releasing that and releasing that and releasing it. And it took a long time, almost the whole year. But I'm telling you, Nancy, when I would go into the classroom, then slowly, it would be like I was in alignment. I was getting myself into alignment and filling myself with that inner light, divine light. And then
Mhm.
it started, what happened is I started oozing, instead of judgment, frustration, criticism, I started oozing like acceptance,
Mm.
calm.
Mm.
So, because typically in a public school system, there's reaction. There's reaction. The kids are reacting against the curriculum, the teacher, the system. So instead of reacting against each other, I stopped reacting. And so then there was nothing for them to react against. So they stopped. Then I started responding, and then they would respond. And so it just became this situation. Of course, it's not perfect, but it just took away all the drama, just took away the drama. God, it was amazing.
Do you think the students could notice the difference when they walked into your classroom?
Oh my gosh, you could not have set that up better. Because here's the other technique that I used, and that's I think it's in module 8, I believe, the clearing, the space clearing and the golden pillars. So that's the other one I started doing. And just my classroom, I couldn't handle the school. It was overwhelming. But I started in my classroom, just clearing the space in the classroom, doing the pillars, just creating that whole space. And it took me from, September to almost November before I could start to feel that it was clear and open. And this is something I learned, that kids with trauma, they come in before they go into any space, they take a second and they just scan. Is this safe for me? Is this going to be okay for me? Kids with anxiety and trauma. And so I started to notice that that's what they were doing. They'd come in, and some of them at the beginning would turn around and just walk away, and as I started clearing, they'd come in and they'd walk right in and they would say, oh yeah, this is good. This is good. Yep. Oh yeah, I can be in this space. And they were almost saying it under their breath, and some of them would be like, oh, this space has a good vibe. It's got good energy, So they started saying that. It was amazing. And so for me, since I'd always lived up here, the fact that I was seeing actual, real, concrete words, reactions, evidence, evidence. I was seeing evidence that it worked. And so then they all just started. Then I had kids who can I switch into your class? I heard that there's food in there, and it was amazing. It was amazing. And the other thing, it took off the pressure off of me, because this wasn't about me. It was just about me getting myself, into a space, like being the eye of the hurricane, and it was this safe place for kids to, of course, it's not like they're like, oh, all of a sudden become like, A students or anything like that, but it just became a place where they could feel good about themselves, feel accepted, where they could just do their work. So it was game changer.
Yeah. When I talk about when I had my out-of-body experience, and, I just really felt, just the light of spirit. But then as I started grounding, that kind of went away. But I always knew that I could reach for that. I always knew that it was there. So my sense is, when they have that experience in your classroom, they could feel the difference when they walked out and they walked in, and they know that they can recreate that. Have you taught them anything? Have you taught them how to ground or anything like that? Or did you?
I did a little bit. Of course, it's a, public school setting, so you got to be a little careful about that. But I had these, I think they're called breathing balls, these physical, where you open it up and then it collapses. And so, and those were all over the school. So I'm like, okay, I'll use those. So I'm like, okay, everybody just breathe in and then breathe out, and then just feel yourself sink into the earth and feel safe and connected. Right. It's kind of how I would do it, just breathe in and breathe out. So I was using some of the mindfulness techniques that were already being taught in school. And I was just tagging off of their language and using, and then, doing the grounding. And sometimes even during class, I would do the, like if somebody was really agitated, I would say, okay, just imagine you're in that chair, just send your energy all the way down to the earth, and see if just give it a minute or two and see if that helps you feel any better.
Nice.
I had to be careful and not tell them what to do, but give them an option. Of,
right.
Why don't you try this and see if it works,
Exactly. And that's exactly what we do in our programs. It's often, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to teach you how to get your own information. And it can be frustrating, especially when you've been dependent on other people's opinions to guide you. It can be so frustrating to try to depend on your own information.
That's
But
true.
you do get there.
And
So
Nancy, can I just say one thing? There was one time in those early years when you did a reading for our group, and then I had one with you, and you're like, you'll figure it out. And I'm like, no, I won't. No, I need for you to tell me. And you're like, you'll figure it out. And I'm like, no, I really won't, and,
so
and I
so
did.
and you did,
I did.
and in the last couple of years, you've really blossomed. I mean, you've been at this, you just, and you give it your all, and you do work at your own pace. I mean, you have at times just kind of checked out for a few months, and then you hop back in and you get started again, and you know what happens to your life when you stop, and what happens to your life when you start again. And so I've really witnessed that. But the last couple of years, wow, you've just taken off. And I think I even read one of your posts. You're starting to do readings now.
So yeah, so here's one of the things, it was working through the students, and then it was during the pandemic, to be honest. We're teaching from home, distance learning, so I've got a lot of time at home. And so I started doing some grounding meditations in the morning, and I asked my husband Bill, I said, hey, can you just come in and do this with me? And so I would, instead of doing it for myself in my own mind, I would do it out loud with him, and then he would give me some feedback. This worked. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's really good, And what I realized, this took me a while because I really wanted to be a seer and a feeler. I really wanted really badly to be that kind of intuition.
I didn't want what I had.
I know. But I realized through my classroom stuff, and then through couple of other situations with my friends, that I have become kind of a rippler, an energy influencer. So I can't read it, I can't see it, but in the classroom, this just happened this last week. I was proctoring the big, huge Minnesota State mathematics test just last week. And there was just a lot of drama around it, because teachers don't want their kids out of class. Kids don't want to take the test because of the pandemic, they're way behind, and parents and all this stuff. So I just did my energy. I did the space clearing. I ran my energy, got myself into this space. And it was like, I was just like rippling calm. And there was no drama. And everybody's coming in. It's like, how there's no drama going on here, with this big test. And it's like, I'm just in a being state, And so the pandemic helped because I had more time to spend on it for myself. And it just gave me that confidence. It just gave me the confidence of, accepting what my gift is, filling myself up, and, realizing that another shift for me with using these tools to get into myself is that everybody is whole. Everybody is whole and complete as they are.
They're not broken.
No. And they're all working on it. But our perception, or I should speak for myself, my perception, my students were incomplete or needed fixing, needed helping, and all of this. And that was a big shift for me. And so now what I do, as far as doing things, is it's like, how when you hear an orchestra and everybody's tuning their instruments on their own, different things, different pitches and tones and everything. And then the conductor, tap, tap, tap. And then they all get into starting at this low tone, and then they go all up to the same pitch, same high tone. That's how I feel in my body now when I get to a space.
And then you're there. I think
I know I'm there. And then
like Tina said yesterday, I'm in the pocket. She knows when she's in the pocket. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I'm in my zone. I'm in my eye of the hurricane. Yeah. Same thing. In the pocket.
Right. And so, but you had to come to that awareness over time.
Yes.
Now, Spirit is like knocking on my door. We had not planned on talking about this. And if you're not comfortable talking about this, you just let me know, because it is, I just will say, it's going to be out there on YouTube and it's here on Facebook. The riots.
Yes.
And so you experience the riots, you ask our group to help, really help to send out some energy and really help to ground it and really help, but your whole city was just turned upside down. Do you mind just sharing a little bit about what those riots were about, just for the listeners, if you want to talk about it? Are you comfortable
Sure.
sharing about it, what the riots were about, and energetically, how did that impact you, and how did you keep your center?
Okay. So it was George Floyd. That was the trigger in our city. George Floyd Square down in Minneapolis. I don't know how much detail you want, but so
But just however your spirit is guiding you to speak to it.
Okay. So the George Floyd situation, the turmoil around his death, how his death happened, and then even the trials that all just happened. Oh gosh, there was another one recently. Our city has been lit up with a lot of tension, a lot of angst, and interestingly that you bring this up, Nancy, because for me, and a lot of people of my, I'm a middle-aged white woman, and so for me, there was a lot of awakening awareness of, wow, what has been my part in the history of all of this stuff. And just quick side note, I have a whole group of women who we started a book club just about this, reading about this awakening awareness equity journey that we need to be on. So it felt very, what's the word? At first, it felt like what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? I just felt so incompetent, and I'm not, I didn't go out to all the protests and all of that. I didn't do the physical, but what it did do with a group of people, I started using the tools, Nancy. I started using the tools, and I first went to the grounding where it happened, which is now a big memorial monument, and just grounding the energy, because and I've been down there many times, but it's there was just so much a riot of emotions in that space. Fear, terror, sadness, grief, anger, rage, hatred, but there was also hope and turning the corner, because maybe now things will start to change. And so I just spent a lot of time. And again, I think that this is my slow awareness that I can do energy work from sitting right here. I can do some good energy work from sitting here and sitting. Yes. So yeah, I just started doing that. And then the police station that got, attacked, and the families, and just doing some of those energy tools.
Just bringing healing light, grounded healing light to the situation.
Yes.
We especially, and we are living in a world right now. I mean, we've got war, happening on the other side of the world. And we do feel at times like, what can I do to help? And I always say prayer works.
Yes.
Prayer works, but you using these techniques. And then for yourself, I would imagine you use the techniques on yourself to help you to heal from this new awareness of being this older generation white woman, and take, and having these awarenesses of your own accountabilities and responsibilities, and then using the spiritual tools to help you to begin to heal that as well.
Exactly. And even within our small group, there are some people with this book club who can't read the books. That's just like, it's too hard. That's too much pain. And so then when we do our little Zoom discussions or whatever, it's like, then I'm sort of kind of using these tools a little bit, because you can bring in the awareness and the learning, and not attached to the pain and the, the shame. And, you know,
Exactly.
yeah. So
Exactly.
that's, yeah. So I've been, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, what's been the biggest highlight? And is there any last message before we wrap up this call? What's really been a highlight for your spiritual development, for your life, and any message that you might want to share with others who will be listening to this?
Okay. Well, first of all, uh, it's helped my marriage.
Oh,
Yes, because from, you know, how when I would come home and I would be in this state, it would be like, okay, you know what? I can shift now like that. I
mhm.
can shift from any kind of state. And so I've been using, because Bill, my husband, would, when I would come home, he would say, like I said, why don't you go see if you can shift? And so now we are both using that. And when he's crabby pants, I'm like, go shift out of your low gear into your higher gear. And so it's been amazing, you know, because everybody, I mean, every marriage has like tension points, and rather than holding on to it or spinning in your head with the argument that you didn't get to say, or, you know, any of those things, now it's like, just go shift. And
Mhm.
within 30 minutes, we're both just like, you know, it just works.
Wow. Wow. How long have you been married?
Oh God. 20, just a second, 26 maybe.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
So there's that. I would say the mentoring Mondays are amazing. Love
Mhm.
the mentoring Mondays. I get a little bit, again, since I'm not a seer, I just am amazed that they can see the things that they can see with the specificity, you know, and hope to get there someday. The monthly calls, I know I haven't made a lot of those because I go to bed so early.
Yeah, it's kind of late for East Coast. Yeah.
Yeah, but
But the recordings are always there on
yes,
the
I love
page.
the recordings. Yes. The new partner thing is awesome, because it's kind of like, okay, you need to go back and do that one again. You know, it's making me go back, like get really into a specific module and let's work on it. So that's
Mhm.
been amazing.
Mhm.
And I love the, you know, like I said, I go in and out of the Facebook page, and but one thing I would say, one final thing is, if I can do it, if I can get to this high vibration, anybody can. Because I highly doubt it will take anybody else 14 years to get to, no, not 14 years, 8 years to get,
8 years.
you know, if I
Yeah,
can do it,
yeah,
anybody can do it. And
yeah,
it
yeah,
completely changes your life. Not that
yeah.
everything's perfect, but that you
Not
can,
that everything's perfect.
no, but you can
You
shift.
still have your down days,
Yeah.
but you've got tools to shift it
Yeah.
quickly. It's a coping mechanism to be able to energetically shift quickly.
Yes. And I can shift into neutral and then into bliss or joy, you know? You can just shift, like going
Yeah,
into a gear, you know?
yeah. Well, Maura, first of all, I just really want to thank you for being willing to come on. I know you were a little bit nervous, but boy, you
Okay.
just really shared from the heart. I could feel that. Just want to let everybody else know Maura's our tried and true, one of our old timers,
Yeah.
encouragers of hope, and who's on the page, who you'll get to meet on some of the calls and things like that. So it's, oh my gosh, you're just a delight. It's so fun. And definitely retirement suits you.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It does. Oh, I was so full of myself and perfectionism and all of that. You know, these tools helped so much with that, and now I can just do it even more. It's
Yeah.
fabulous. It's
Well,
a
I'm excited
wonderful,
to also have you welcome in all of our new students coming in,
yes.
and just, yeah, just be that stabilizing force of just that calm, and just,
Mhm.
we can do this. So thank
Yeah.
you again, Maura. And I so appreciate it. And I know everyone else loved it too. And when you hop back over to Facebook, you'll be able to read all the comments. And I would love it if you would respond to them. So,
Okay. Nancy,
okay.
this is a fabulous program. I love the program, and I'm so grateful to you for offering all these tools to everybody.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Maura. We'll talk again soon. Okay.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
And I want you to hang in here with me. I'm going to end the call, but don't go away. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Bye bye, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the interview. And if you have a question for Maura, just go ahead and put it in the comments section, and she'll hop over and take a look and respond.